All right, we'll have a little bit of fun here, John. I'm going to the NFL. Who's the best team right now in the NFL? And I mean by record, not necessarily the eyeball and everything else, although I think you could say the eyeball looks pretty damn good, but it's the Indianapolis Colts. It really is. It is the Indianapolis Colts. And who would have thunk it, right? I mean, going into this, they lost a couple of different guys off the offensive line. They didn't have a quarterback that they've been trying for years to draft somebody. They haven't been able to do that. On a whim, they went out and they got Daniel Jones, right, from the Minnesota Vikings. And all they've been able to do, John, is win. They're now 6-1. They have the best record in the NFL as of right now. And I guess the question is, can they keep it up? And so I started to look, and I saw that, was their schedule fairly soft? I could say that you could say that it was a softer schedule that they have, but they have no control over that. They play who they play, and they've been winning, and they won 6 out of them. And the one loss was to what I think is a really good Los Angeles Rams team. So watch how that whole thing is playing out. The Titans are the next one, and I think the way the Titans have been playing, John, they're probably the struggles that they've had. I think the Colts probably have a good opportunity there. Pittsburgh, kind of a 50-50. Atlanta, maybe 50-50. The Chiefs, 50-50. And Houston, I think they might have the edge. But they still have some great opportunities in front of them. And all you've got to do when you break down the Colts is say, now, wait a minute. They've got a damn good defense. They've got a quarterback who's been on fire and an offensive line who doesn't let him get sacked. When you've got that sort of a recipe, John, he's only had 6 sacks. It's one of the lowest sack quarterbacks as a starter in the NFL right now. He's got a 71% completion. Does he throw a lot of touchdowns? Not really. He throws some. He runs some. He does a pretty damn good job. And then when you can run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, who's only averaging 5.3 yards a carry, John, nearly 700 yards already. This kid from Wisconsin, he has been a stud. He continues to be a stud. Credit to the offensive line as a good pass protection offensive line, and obviously putting in some pretty nice holes for Jonathan Taylor. So I don't know. I'm becoming a bigger believer all the time, but now they're going to have to prove a little something with Atlanta, who's played pretty well. Chiefs obviously are on a roll again. And Pittsburgh, you just never know what you're going to get with Aaron Rodgers and the defense that they've got up there. But they really look like one of the best teams in football right now. What do you think?
Well, here's the stats that bear that out, Pete. The points per game, 33. That's first in the league. Most points average per game. The defense, 20 points is what they allow. That's 8th in the league. So they're elite on offense, and they're in the upper 25%, upper 25 percentile of defenses so far this year. Yards per game on the offense, 380 yards per game. Third down conversions is almost 47%. So that means they sustain drives. That means they keep the other team off the field, Pete, because if they can drive down, to your point, there are some great quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, of course, Drake May, that are putting up very impressive stats on the touchdowns thrown and all that sort of thing. But in many cases, they score too quickly. Not on every drive, of course, but if you score too quickly, your defense doesn't get to rest. And the other team's offense is on the field, which means they have a chance of scoring more points. I know that people can score defensive points as well, but when we look at it, I think grinding it out like the Colts having that great tight end that I wish the Bears would have drafted, because I'm not saying the guy that the Bears got was bad, but Warren is a different level. Everybody knew it. I don't know why the Bears didn't realize it, but this kid is making a real name for himself, and he might be a first-team All-Pro as a rookie, which almost never happens at that position. So I'm going to say, Pete, you're absolutely right. Colts deserve to be number 1 in the league, and they're likely to stay there if they can get through these next 4 or 5 games that are going to test them.
And the key in the NFL, as we all know, is if you can be healthy too. And so far, I think they've been very fortunate and pretty daggone healthy. They don't have some of these teams, man. It's like they're missing 6 and 8 starters. I mean, it's crazy out of the 22. That makes it a little more difficult. But this team has done a great job so far. And give credit to the coach, the quarterback, the running back, the offensive line, the defense for what they, have accomplished, like you were talking about. It's amazing. All right. Next up for you, John, the SEC. Now, who would have thunk that if the SEC, they've got one team that certainly, I think people thought, well, these guys are pretty damn good. They've got all the money in the world, and they're going to be one of the leaders, right? And I'm not talking about Alabama. No, I'm not talking about Georgia. No, I'm talking about Texas A&M. And Texas and Oklahoma are a part of this whole thing too now. But who stands out, and it's just shows you that there's parity coming into these different sports, and in this case, different. You got the pro level and the college level, but look at the parity that we've got at the college level, and you look at Missouri, John. They're 6-1. They are in the SEC. People sort of forget that sometimes. Vanderbilt, they're 6-1. Also, SEC. It's amazing how well these two schools have performed, have recruited, and done all the things that they've done to get to where they are. Now, there's still a lot of football left in the season, but I'll tell you what, John, it's pretty shocking to me how well they're doing. And if you don't think that there's more and more parity going on, I got another one for you. So we talked about the Colts at the next level, right? Well, how about Indiana? You know what Indiana is? Number 2 in the country. That coach has done an amazing job. Indiana, who's known for basketball, but they ain't known for football, John, is sitting there pretty high on the Big Ten side of things. And the Ohio State-Indiana game, let's hope it's a great game. Let's hope it's one of those phenomenal things that they got a shot. And by the way, the team that they smoked, Illinois just keeps on grinding it out. That's another team that, somewhere, some way, they might get into the playoff, John, because what they've been able to accomplish and some of the teams that they've beaten, but they got the crap kicked out of them by Indiana. So they need Indiana to keep on going, because maybe that will help them a little bit more on that big loss they had earlier in the year.
Well, Pete, last year, that was the first time they'd been as high up on that stage. Yeah, they had Penix, I think, Pete, and a couple other pretty good players over the last, 5 years, 10 years, but not enough, and certainly not the depth. And last year, when they got, they walked in undefeated playing Ohio State. Well, Ohio State pretty much drubbed them. And it was at the Horseshoe in Columbus. Well, now these guys, I don't think, are going to be wowed by Ohio State this year. And I'm not saying that I still think Ohio State is the best, Pete.
Yeah.
But Indiana's defense impresses me. They're a great team. They really play for this coach like crazy. And, when those guys meet this year, I think it's going to be something special.
I think the coach is so cocky. I love it. When they ask him questions, he just fires right back at them like, look, this ain't the Indiana team that you guys are all used to in the press. This is my Indiana team. And he has been a game changer and a season changer of a coach who's put them on the map. They were on the map last year. They're on the map this year. And the only thing that could hurt them, they lost one of their players, John, who got an injury on the defense, who's a very integral part of the defense. So that part is sad. But let's hope they don't get any more of those injuries, because I'd love to see what they could really do if they're healthy against Ohio State this year. That should be pretty fun.